Hey guys, Brad Gilmore here. Want to give a big shout out to our title sponsor, Walker Texas Lawyer. If you or a loved one have been injured in an accident, whether that be a car, truck, motorcycle accident, or some kind of other issue, hit up Walker Texas Lawyer at 713-552-1117 or walkertexaslawyer.com.
Oh, Brad, what have you done now?
Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Matthew McConaughey.
Brad Gilmore.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The legendary Mr. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher, how we doing?
I'm doing good. Great introduction.
Jessica Alba and Lizzie Mathis. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Kevin Costner joins us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
Kelly Ripa.
Brad, thank you for having me.
Comedy.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Chris Tucker is in the building. Chris Tucker, good morning to you.
Hey, Brad, and good morning to you. How are you?
George Lopez joins us right now. George, how are you doing, sir?
Good morning.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What lovely to talk. You me funny lad.
Megan Trainor.
Thank you so much, Brad. You're awesome.
Chloe Bailey joins us. I appreciate the time.
Appreciate you.
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat.
Brad Gilmore!
And she joined me now to talk about Forbidden Broadway, which you can check out this week starting tomorrow through the 26th, playing at the Hobby Center, the one and only Miss Jenny Lee Stern. Jenny, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Look, congratulations on everything you have going on and this show Forbidden Broadway. So I'm a fan of the stage and the screen and all of them in between. But I love live performance. I love live performance because you're walking that razor's edge. You have the tightrope. You get one shot to go out there and do it. It's got to be exhilarating. But let's start there with this Forbidden Broadway, this show. It's Tony Award winning. Tell the people a little bit about it who might not have heard the title before.
So Forbidden Broadway, for those who haven't seen it, one second, I'm just going to shut this cord.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. I like to call it the Saturday Night Live of Broadway. So pretty much everybody knows Saturday Night Live, right? So it's we take the current running season of shows and spoof them, as well as we are sending up olden-timey stars who are newy-timey stars still too, right? Bernadette Peters, Patti LuPone, Angela Lansbury, and shoving with love, as we say, right? Not ripping apart, not tearing down, just sending up. And so for people who are really, into that inside baseball niche Broadway trivia, and it's great for people who just appreciate musical theater, and it's great for people who have never seen a musical in their life. They just like to laugh. You're gonna get it all.
So, okay, how do you come about this show? Is this something that was on your radar? Did you seek for it? Did it come to you? How did you find yourself involved?
It sort of came to me. Forbidden Broadway's been around since the 80s.
Right.
And kind of continuously running with a couple breaks here and there. So I first auditioned for the show. I was 19 years old, living in New York. I was going to NYU, and my agent called me and had an audition. Didn't really know what it was all about. And, was like a little shocked. Had asked for impressions, not, master impressionist, not that I am now, but I would then. And so I was a little green for the show, but I very much remember my audition, and the creator, Gerard Alessandrini, also remembers. Then sort of, then I went on tour and did all these things, and I came back again when I was maybe 27 or something, and I premiered in Forbidden Broadway Alive and Kicking. And that was the first Forbidden Broadway after a 5-year hiatus, which was almost unheard of for Forbidden Broadway. So that was sort of like the new beginning of Forbidden Broadway in New York. And we just had a great time with that show. That was once was a part of that show, Sutton Foster and Anything Goes, End of the Rainbow with Judy Garland. And so, yeah, for the past 13 years, I've just kind of been, you know, Gerard putting me in where he sees fit. I did Spamilton, if you heard of Spamilton,
yes, of course.
Right? That was a hoot. And then we did Forbidden Sondheim last summer. And now here we are with a brand new Forbidden Broadway.
Okay, so going back to like the audition when you were 19,
Yeah.
student at NYU, doing the impressions, because I think that when people think of impressions, they normally think of comedians or comedians, Saturday Night Live, like you referenced, the great characters. When you try to embody that, because it's different than doing a character, you're doing something that people know very well, and you have to capture not only the essence of them, but what makes them funny, what makes that impression funny, and like the comedic element of it.
Yeah.
I guess that would be a hard thing to kind of master. Like, how do you start? How do you start the impression?
I'm still learning, every day, and I want to get better, of course, all the time. So I start with the way that I do it is I start with the audio of the person. So if I'm doing Angela Lansbury and Sweeney Todd, I'll listen to her doing the original, right? And then what I'll do, if available, try to find a video. For instance, that's, from sort of the before times, before all the tech. So there's one video, I believe, of her at the Tonys, and you zoom in, and then I watch the way her mouth moves when she says the words. So my mom's a speech pathologist, so I grew up sort of around this. And, the way that the way that one manipulates their mouth sort of dictates the kind of sound that can come out, right? Where your tongue is placed, where your palate is. And this is kind of a really boring technical.
No, it's not. I love
thing.
this.
Okay.
Kind of thing.
But that's how I do it. And because I just want to be really particular, right? And so there's certain things, right? If you're doing Patti LuPone, and she sort of has this thing going on, that affects the way you speak. That is going to that affects the way you speak, as opposed to if I keep my lip down or you put your lip like this, you're going to sound more like Judy Garland because that's where her mouth goes, right? So it's been really cool experience for me as a performer and as an artist to hone in on those things. And then my third trick, after I do that, I'll try to Google and YouTube 3 other performers, preferably drag queens, who, because everything's so heightened and exaggerated, doing the person I'm going to be doing myself, right? So if I'm looking at Bernadette Peters, I'll watch 3 different people do a Bernadette Peters impression and see what's the through line. What are they? Because I tend to be a little bit more specific and real with my impressions, but sometimes we in our head have a little bit of a warped idea of what the person actually sounds like. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And if you're talking to them in person, it would maybe be not as exaggerated. So I like to pull out just to kind of take a poll of what everybody is seeing and make sure it's the same thing that I'm seeing, right? And and then I kind of take all those layers. And then, of course, the best part is you add the wig and the makeup and the costume, and that does a lot of the work for you, let's be honest, right?
Yeah, but you have to capture that essence of the voice. But it's so interesting you say they sound maybe different if you're really talking to them. I remember seeing a video of Jimmy Fallon was doing a Seinfeld impression with Jerry Seinfeld. And it sounded nothing really like Jerry Seinfeld when you heard him talk. But if Jerry wasn't there, it sounds just like him. He's doing
right. Well, it's kind of like a whisper down the lane, too. It's what has it become? Bernadette Peters doesn't walk down the street, walking her dog, okay, come with me. It's just, that's it. It's a caricature, essentially, right? That people start doing. If I was in a biopic about Bernadette Peters and I'm in the running for an Academy Award, I'm obviously playing it a little bit differently, right? So, it's just been really interesting. And then, to layer on top of it, we're not just in Vegas singing a Britney Spears song as Britney Spears dressed in the exact outfit. We're layering on. Now we're saying different words and we're trying to get across a full message and a story that's different from the original text. So then, you need to get those words out clearly because essentially those are the jokes. There's room for the visual joke, but Gerard, Alessandrini is like one of truly, I mean, I don't know who's better at writing parody lyrics. It's like Weird Al and Gerard Alessandrini in two different styles of parody writing. But, we're not talking about Jingle Bells, Batman Smells. This is like very nuanced, intellectual, making sure the rhyme schemes go with the original rhyme schemes. And we're talking about Stephen Sondheim. Like, that's hard enough to memorize the original. So, I mean, if you are a real theater fanatic, the layers of this show are going to be really fascinating to you. And if you're just a person that, wants to have a good time and go out and laugh and, see some comedy and music, then this is also a great show for you. So,
I'm so glad I asked the question about impressions, because I've never thought about the way the mouth is positioned and like how your tongue is placed. Because I mean, even if you go into, I remember, now this is a long time ago, but when I'm in, a choir and I'm having these vocal lessons, they're like tall vowels, you know, if your vowels are taller, you'll make a different noise or whatever, what have you. But I never, I guess, thought about that when you apply it to impressions and then implying the impression to the song as well. It is very layered, as I think the word that you use. And it's actually, I think, more complex than people give it credit for.
Yeah, and it's a skill set that, not everybody has. And there's been a wonderful, array of actors in New York and beyond who have done Forbidden Broadway and done it, incredibly well. But it's a really small group compared to like all the people who have been in Wicked or all the people who have been in Jersey Boys or all the, people who've been in Cats or Chorus Line or whatever, because it's a different layer. And I mean, when you're playing a role like Evita or Judas or Frankie Valli or Elphaba, these really, the hardest singing roles on Broadway, these wonderful composers have written you an arc of your show, right? I mean, Elphaba doesn't walk on stage and just go, like, there's a build up to it. But in Forbidden Broadway, we're doing 11 o'clock number, 11 o'clock number, 11 o'clock number, 11 o'clock number. So, that's another thing, right? You really have to build up your stamina. Like, that's something that I have to build. And there's not a lot of time in between numbers. So it's like, okay, I'm playing Angela Lansbury and my voice is up here. And then I have to turn around and do Lindsay Mendez, who just sounds like a beautiful, crisp, Broadway mix with like a very kind of generic accent. And so you got to be able to switch that too, plus the body physicality and all the things. So there's a lot that goes into it. Yeah.
Well, there's singers that everybody likes or guitar players that everybody likes. And then there's the ones that the guitar players like to watch.
Yes. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I feel like that's y'all's show. Like, y'all are the ones that were like the Broadway actors love to watch it because they're like, y'all don't understand the extreme level of difficulty this show is.
Yes. And like, they love when we sort of find these little inside moments. We did a spoof of Once the musical.
Okay.
Right. And so one of the things that stuck out to me, now, Kristen Milioti at the time, she hadn't really done much. This was before How I Met Your Mother and all that. So I'm just sort of watching like a Tony performance and then maybe like a late night performance, trying to get what she's all about. And I had picked up that she had like done this thing with her hand. And so I really exaggerated that movement. And when the cast of Once came to see it, they were like when I came out, they were like, you did the claw. And I was like, what's the claw? They're like, that's what we talk about backstage that she like does. They call it like the claw. So like stuff like that is funny. Do you know what I mean? Or like doing a show, that maybe you've done before, or I mean, it is hard if you know the person. That's like a little bit more difficult, but which you're around long enough, you get to know the real people, right? But yeah, like sort of what you were saying before, you can do these impressions of like, I mean, people do like Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, like I do Patsy Cline all the time. There's pretty much a 0% chance that they're going to show up. You know what I'm saying? But when I will never forget, this was again back like maybe a decade ago. And I was doing an Annie number. Okay. I was doing an Annie number and I had just done Bernadette Peters, and I'm looking in the audience and in the fourth row is Carol Burnett. And my whole brain was just like, oh my God, I'm doing Annie for Miss Hannigan and Lily St. Regis. I was just like, it was too much. I was like on brain
Carol Burnett
overload.
being in the crowd would be enough in just by itself, right?
I know.
Layering on the fact.
No, I know. No, I mean, yeah. So that, or like you look out and there's Stephen Sondheim and you're sort of like slaying his lyrics, and we've cut up all the songs, or looking out. This is when we were at the Triad, which is sort of more like a cabaret space with little tables. And I was like on stage, in the show. And I'm like, is that Andrew Lloyd Webber? And there he was, just sitting out in the audience. So it's like kind of that is kind of wild, right? And then you're like, this is funny, right? Like, I'm not trying to be mean. We're just trying to be funny, right? Like, we're not trying to be mean.
About it.
So
yeah. Okay. I have a couple more questions on this because I'm fascinated and things keep popping up in my head here. Okay, do you have like an entry point for certain characters, or when you're doing these impressions of them, is there like an entry point, like a particular phrase or word that helps you get into, like, say, a Judy Garland? When you did Judy a minute ago, I saw you did the lip where it slouches in and you kind of fell right into it. Is it more of a physical thing that you do to get into it, or is there a word or an entry point?
For sure, like it at this point, I really like to get the whole thing on. Do you know what I mean? Like as soon as you put on that Bernadette wig, like it's just going to do something to you, or the dress with the push up and all the things. So I don't know that there's, that's a really good question though. Yeah. I mean, so to me, Bernadette Peters, how I was introduced to her was Annie the movie, like I said before, and then The Jerk starring Steve Martin, that classic old movie, right? Yes. So that's kind of really how I knew her, because my dad was a huge, Steve Martin fan and that sort of era, Chevy Chase. And so I'd watch those movies again and again. And so she, there's like a line when she meets him at the thing and she's looking for the little boy she's babysitting, you know what I mean? And she's like, hello, or she's like, have you seen a little boy around here with a t-shirt that says bullshit on it? And that gets me into it. Or she's like, David, and that to me, because it's also funny because it's an inside joke with my dad, but that'll do it. And I wish I could say I even had time backstage to get into these things, because you don't.
Right.
It's like you run backstage after whatever you just did. You get the dress, you get the wig, you get the makeup, you get the heels, and you gotta go. So I think after just doing it so long and kind of getting in the groove of it, you kind of.
It's a muscle memory, right? I mean, there's this great series of plays they used to do here in the Houston area, and they toured it all over. It was called Greater Tuna, and these two guys.
Oh yeah.
And Jason Williams I've become friendly with, but just seeing them do the quick change and into the next character is always fascinating. Okay, let me ask you this then. You talk about the pre-show. Do you have a pre-show ritual that you have to follow? I know some stage actors say, I need to do this, and this to be able to kind of get into the best performance.
So, well, number one, I wish I had that luxury. I have 3 daughters at home who are 15, 14, and 6. So, yeah. So we're at it 6 a.m. We're up and at it. And then obviously I'm on the road here. So this sort of feels like, a grand vacation, no offense. Of course, I wish they were here, but you know what I'm saying? Like I can kind of take my time and go a little slower. But for me, it's just keeping in really great shape physically, vocally, mentally, because I just kind of need to be ready for whatever is thrown at me. The show is pretty much set, but we will make little changes from city to city based on, what people are responding to. We might make changes from Thursday show to Friday show, depending on what kind of reaction we get, right? Because it's just the way it is. Things that hit in New York might not hit in Houston, might hit in Detroit, might not hit in Denver. So, I just like to be kind of prepared. And then we all have our specialties, but there are some numbers in the show that can kind of be switched out. So if for some reason we have to change the order of the numbers, and then it's like a little part in Evan Hansen where there's like the teenage girl, it was originally Penny doing that, but we had to switch it. Somebody had a costume issue. So I'll have to go on and learn that, on the spot. Like, okay, it's just like 4 lines. But, you just got to keep like mentally, physically, and vocally sharp, and then cross your fingers.
Yeah. Hope for the best, right?
Exactly.
Hope for the best to go out there.
Yeah, right.
But there is nothing like being out on a stage and getting that instant feedback from an audience.
Well, yes, the instant feedback either way. You know what I mean? And especially in previews of Forbidden Broadway, because we'll preview for quite a while before we open, try new things, cut things, add things, change lyrics, blah, blah, blah. So it will toughen you up pretty quickly when you're in the middle of a number and you realize either nobody saw this show, nobody knows who this actor is, nobody's getting the joke. And you just like push through it and try to I mean, we've all seen now everything's on TikTok. I mean, you watch stand-up comedians when like a joke doesn't hit and you're just sitting there with like egg on your face and you just got to keep going. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's nice that it's like, okay, if a film comes out and it doesn't land with the people on a Friday, it's the same movie on Saturday. It's the same movie on Sunday. But this is nice to have that flexibility.
Yeah. I mean, and don't worry. I mean, you're getting basically the same show in New York and the same show that you'll get in Houston, you'll get in Detroit. But, I mean, there's nothing like live theater. I always say people sometimes ask how do you keep it up? Like, how are you motivated especially in a long running show, right? Like did Jersey Boys for over 2 years. And it's like, how do you do it? And sort of the same with this, like this, we have a little bit more lead, but we're giving people in live theater a once in a lifetime experience every single time they sit down, whether you're in a show that has a little improv or whether you're in a show where nothing ever changes, like Wicked or Lion King or Aladdin, like never the same. It will never be this combination of people on this date with the planets aligned like they are, with the weather the way it is. And so every single time you step into a theater and buy a ticket to see a live show, you're getting a once in a lifetime experience, and that's my responsibility. That somebody might have saved up their money for the whole year to fly to New York to take their wife on a trip to see her favorite show, you know what I mean? Or or come out to Houston and see the show. It's like, look, I recognize, I mean, obviously I'm a mother, like I recognize what things cost and how hard it is to leave your kids and go out for a night. And, it's my responsibility to give them the best experience that they can have,
Well, and that's what they're going to have at the Hobby Center starting tomorrow, April 24th through the 26th. Make sure you go check out Forbidden Broadway. Jenny, thanks for being an awesome guest.
Yeah,
first and foremost,
thank you.
And congratulations
Awesome.
on the show. I'm so excited to go and check it out.
Okay, cool. Can't wait to see you there.